Greetings, my people. Greetings, my people. Today is February 6th, 2024, 12:23 p.m. And I titled this one. Let me get my everything straight. I titled this "Unlearning Trauma." And what do I mean by unlearning trauma? Unlearning the trauma of life, right? Um, when we come into this world, right, we don't have we're not born with a sense of consciousness of how this world operates, right? Is that fair to say? Through learning and conditioning. If anybody hears me, you hear me talk about social learning theory a lot, right? Learning from your environment. And the reason I'm saying I'm speaking mostly to my brothers, but I'm also speaking to the sisters because I personally believe that um we as black men and males, it starts with us. We are the strongest, and we can be the weakest links in the chain. So, a lot of things that we have to learn to deal with is our emotions, right? There's a channel on YouTube that I watch a lot called Twisted Crimes, right? And this documents uh, a lot of people, but mostly our people. And I'm going to say 98 to 99% of it is um, black males unaliving their girlfriends, right? And this is why I say the rhetoric that we speak as men, we may speak it in the sincerity of our heart, right? We may say, it's a man's world, women should submit to men, all of this yada yada. I'm not here to police nobody on how they think. I just give my views, and you either like my views or you don't. If you don't like my views, then that's on you. But the problem in the pudding for me is when we have taught these one-sided views so long, right? Most of us think about you. Think about you as the black man that's listening to this, and please listen to understand and not to respond or be offended. This is how we grow. This is how we grow. This is how in therapy, if you're gonna go to therapy and you're gonna get offended, then you're in the wrong place, right? You shouldn't be there. If you're there to be offended by what's being said, by what's going on, then you're in the wrong place. Um, but think about think about your conditioning. Think about who taught us stuff about manhood. Think about our examples, right? Not think about the money they made. Not think about how they provided physical things. Not think about the jobs. We're not gonna think about it. We're gonna deal with mental and we're gonna deal with spiritual components, right? We're not gonna deal with how they provided financially. Even though that's important, that's not the totality. And I do believe that a lot of females are being trapped and they're trapping themselves because it's not always on the male, right? But think about how we were introduced to love. Think about how we were introduced by other males and some instances of what we learned from females. But I'm talking about men right now. Think about how whether it was your uncle, your brothers, your fathers who was lucky enough to have your fathers in your lives, your stepfathers, your whoever was the man that showed you how to be. The music we listened to, all of these were components of what shaped us, right? So in watching this thing, Twisted Crimes, most of these young men, they unalive their women for a few reasons, but To me, the main one is they don't understand how to deal with rejection. They don't understand how to deal with their emotions. They don't understand how to deal with her when she's fed up and she's leaving. And this is what falls on us as black men. Because can you say, not in your ego, just be real. And if you are, then that's good. But can you say that you deal with your emotions in the most mature way as men? Or are you reverting back to those sayings that your uncle taught you, that whatever male taught you? Is what you're putting down is that balanced, right? For all of us that believe monogamy in marriage or relationships is not for black men, right? That's your divine right to believe that. But in balance and fairness, why is monogamy? If it's not for you, then why should it be for women? And see, as long as we have imbalances like this within our consciousness, in my opinion, we have balance. We have imbalances like this in our spirit, which comes in our output of how we view things, of how we view things should be, right? Of how we feel like um that's not for me because I'm a man. Well, I can do that because I'm a man. See, these are the things. This is really like Western male behavior. Because think about it. Think about it under the thumb of racism, white supremacy, right? They were allowed, and still are allowed. But let's just think about it in the real heights. They were allowed to do whatever to you, but because of their divine right of who they felt like they were, you wasn't even able to do anything back. And you learn that, and you express that through your manner of through your desired manner. We have to unlearn misogyny. We have to unlearn the resentment that we have for females. Because at the end of the day, it's affecting the future. What we are putting down and saying right now in our hearts affects the future. Am I making sense? Females, you have to unlearn bitterness. If it didn't work out with the dude that you chose, because when dudes say choose better, females get upset. But then in the same token, you'll say, I'm single by what? Choice. Right? I'm not gonna keep you too long, but I want us to understand of what I'm saying. And if I'm making sense, put a one in the comment. Put a muscle in the comment. Comment. This is not me thinking I'm better. This is me wanting to see better. And a lot of this is with our behavior because we've begun to behave like children. You have males that section themselves off and call themselves passports. You have females that's leading a mantra of not needing men. I can't. All of these things. But at the end of the day, we need each other. We need each other. Don't let these folks dupe you into that. And that's all I gotta say. Don't let these folks dupe you into that. Sit down. Good girl. Don't let these folks, that's Paisley. Don't let these folks dupe you into believing that we don't need each other. They're hoping we don't need each other. Right? Peace. Hey, baby.